Nahum 1 verse 5. The mountains quake before him, the hills melt, and the earth heaves at his presence. Yes, the world and all who dwell in it. Let's take a moment and talk volcanoes. We've seen a huge uptick in volcanic activity worldwide that some experts and scientists are saying are unprecedented, never seen before. It's crazy, and it's just increasing as we go. Some have tied it to the heightened activity of the solar cycle, that it's affecting the earth and causing all these geomagnetic disruptions, and that is causing all these things to wake up. We as believers understand from reading the Word of God that this is part of the preparation for the time of judgment. The volcanoes are going to be used in that judgment, the same as earthquakes will. And they're all mentioned in the Bible at various times and used in various ways to show the power of God and sometimes for judgment. And there's various places you can go look at this. Exodus 19, it says that as God came down on the mountain, it trembled incredibly. And that is a major shaking and earthquakes and everything, fire and smoke. Psalm 97 speaks about the same thing, and there's many examples where we've seen earthquakes and volcanoes play a role. So it is definitely a big thing to be watching. And when we look at the power of volcanoes, especially super volcanoes, my personal favorite that I always keep a close eye on being Yellowstone, the impact that will have on the world is so drastic, so mind-numbing, that you can't even wrap your brain around the destruction that one such volcano can do. And there are multiple such volcanoes, and some we probably don't even know about yet, that will be awoken for that time of trouble. So you will notice this alarming rise in volcanic activity in the last few months. According to Volcano Discovery, 38 volcanoes around the world have recently erupted, and dozens more are showing signs of unrest and minor activity. And as I've said before, for me, that's the engines of judgment being switched on and warmed up and tested, because none of them are causing major chaos, but they're all coming to life. And scientists are all screaming and warning. These things are all waking up. Anything could happen. We should be watching. Now, if you're watching, in America specifically, Mount Rainier and Yellowstone are two threats constantly hanging over America. Scientists warn that Mount Spur could be the next volcano to erupt in US territory. They've warned a massive volcano in Alaska has a 50-50 chance of erupting soon, but not too stressed because there's not a lot of people living there. Experts, again, say it's only a matter of time until Mount Rainier, one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the US, and Yakima in Washington, as well as Portland, Seattle, there's 90,000 people all in the shadow of this area. It would unleash an eruption on the Pacific Northwest. So Seattle, Tacoma, Yakima, Washington, Portland, Oregon, sorry if I'm pronouncing them wrong, all of them, 90,000 people in the shadow of that eruption if it happens. Much of Tacoma and much of South Seattle are built on a 100-foot thick ancient mud flow from the previous eruption of Mount Rainier. They're built on the mud flow that happened at the previous eruption, 100-foot thick. So imagine another 100+ foot thick where your house is now standing. In the days ahead, the Pacific Northwest is facing the threat of a giant tsunami produced as a result of the massive rupture in the Cascadia subduction zone. One scientist that studied the subduction zone very closely is warning that a large enough earthquake could potentially generate tsunami waves up to 80 feet tall. I personally think they're going to get much bigger than that come the time of the tribulation and asteroids actually hitting the ocean. It is going to be hectically scary. People's hearts will fail them for the fear of what they see coming towards them. If a full-blown eruption of the one I'm watching takes place, Yellowstone, everything within 50 miles would be annihilated instantly. Mount Rainier, they say that the speed of the mud flow and the lava flow would come so fast you could barely keep up with it. It would just overtake that entire area. Now Yellowstone, that area that'll be overtaken and wiped out instantly is 50 miles. Virtually the entire country of the continental United States would be covered in thick ash. And that's instantly, all your crops are gone, all your food is gone, all your farmlands are gone. And then the whole world would experience a volcanic winter for an extended period of time. Extreme shortages, lack of food and goods, and survivability really way down. It would cause a dramatic decline in global temperatures. So that's one way to deal with global warming right there. And it would make it extremely difficult to grow anything anywhere. Outside of the United States, we're currently seeing massive activity in the Phlegraean fields as it's rocked by hundreds of earthquakes. Seismologists, volcanologists, officials from Naples, experts, scientists are racing against the clock as they implement school closures currently. They're setting up emergency shelters. They're planning evacuation routes for residents living within the region's Camp Phlegrae area known as the Phlegraean fields. And over 600 earthquakes have been recorded since Saturday, with magnitudes ranging from M2.0 to 3.9, the most and the strongest the region has seen in 40 years. The total number of tremors has already exceeded, in this current little episode, 20,000 earthquakes. Now, they're not reported and they're not on your radar because we're reporting on the bigger ones. You're missing how much is actually going on in the awakening of the judgment machinery all around you, all around the world right now. And this area is a really good example. We haven't seen this much shaking in Europe in a long time. Is all the shaking leading to something? Is the Lord shaking the nations to get their attention? Is it working? We are seeing non-stop proof of what is lying at the door. So be inspired to share Jesus with at least one person today. Shalom.